All right, speaking of disgusting, here's Senator Ron Johnson. This is amazing. He gets asked a question. He's at, he's in Wisconsin. He goes to some high school. I guess it was called New Berlin West High School. And a high school student gets up and asks him a question about health care. Ron Johnson sets everybody straight in the room, just so you know. So there's no doubt.
Senator Johnson, I understand that there's a big movement right now to try to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. Do you personally consider healthcare as a privilege or a right?
I think it's probably more of a privilege. Do you consider food a right? Do you consider clothing a right? Do you consider shelter a right? What we have as rights is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Past that point, we have the right to freedom. Past that point, everything else is a limited...
Pause it. So he's just enumerated a non-enumerated right, but doesn't think the right to like have food or clothing or shelter or health care has anything to do with the pursuit of happiness. I'm just one of those happy-go-lucky people who live in Wisconsin without any clothes, without any food, without any shelter, without any health care. This guy is dumb as dirt. And a scumbag.
And a trust fund baby. He grew up in enormous wealth.
Well, but that was his privilege.
His right.
My birthright.
My birthright, literally. I had the good sense.
Continue.
Is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Past that point, we have the right to freedom. Past that point, everything else is a limited resource that we have to use our opportunities given to us so that we can afford those things. So the minute, and this was actually Senator Rand Paul talked about this on the floor of the Senate. He's a doctor. He said the minute you consider health care a right, well, who's going to satisfy that right? And those people that have the skill to satisfy that right, what does that make them if they're forced to provide you with that rightful product or service? So no, I think it's obviously a privilege to have food and shelter. And what we need to do as public officials is try and have our economy healthy so that we have as much prosperity as possible so that we can actually increase the resources available for as high a quality and as highly accessible healthcare as we possibly can.
I'd like to see him run on that platform of like, you're lucky you got food. I would have also liked to seen the look on the high school student's face where he's like, what?
There's a quote, I got to dig it up, but it was an old like French writer, but it was something to the effect of like, freedom is such a great gift for us all that the rich man and the pauper both have the freedom to sleep under a bridge.
Yes.
They both have that great, magnificent right. I mean, it also reminds me, have you guys seen Comrade Detective on Amazon?
Comrade Detective?
It's really quite funny. It's actually it's shot as if it's an 80s buddy cop show set in Romania in the Soviet Union and then dubbed into English. It's funny, but I won't get too much into the digression, but they have these great lines that they would from their from sort of like Soviet propaganda, but there's this one where they're like, wait a second, in America they fight so you can believe in a fairy tale figure in the sky, but not for somebody to have health care? That's sick. And you're sitting there like, yeah.
That quote was Anatole France, and the actual quote was he said, the law in its majestic equality forbids the free man or the rich man and the poor man from sleeping under bridges.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, there it is.
Wait, are you doing that from memory? Oh, you're just like looking at you. I'm like, where is he reading that? That's what we do with our new hires. You gotta. That's the way I do it. I'm just like, let's hear your quotes, man.
We should pretend that all three of us just have total photographic memory for every relevant political quote imaginable, just to really terrify new people. No, we don't look things up here.
Colin
Is that
from
going to be a problem?
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos